Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thanks so much for watching today. Let's talk about bronzers that are perfect for fair skin. For years, I never used bronzer because it always was too orange. It wasn't until about 10 years ago that I really started leaning into bronzer. That's when we started getting shades like Milk Chocolate from Too Faced or Hula Light from Benefit. Those types of bronzers have been really good for my skin, but I feel like there's so many options now that are absolutely stunning. I have a variety of cream options as well as powders. I'm going to apply these to the face for you so that you can see what they look like. I'm going to start with one of my favorite formulas. I have two different shades. This is from M Cosmetics. This is the So Soft Sculpting Stick. I have their shade, the lightest bronzer shade is this one here. This one's called Summer. And this right here is their contour shade. This one's called Terra. So with these guys, I usually just give myself a little bit on the face. And you can use your fingers or a brush to blend it in, but I like that it takes like no effort and it's like, boom, there you go. Do you see how lovely this is? I tend to use Terra a little bit more. It's the cooler, more sculpting shade because it tends to give me something that's not too warm. Let me throw Summer on this side for you. This is the shade Summer from M Cosmetics. And this right here is the shade Terra. Terra is decidedly cooler. And I don't know that you need to use it as a contour or a sculpting shade, but it'd be perfect for somebody. Every time you put a bronzer on, it looks too orange. Go for something a little cooler. The next one I'm going to put on for you is from Makeup by Mario, and this is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have the shade Light. I love this so much. I'm forever reaching for an enormous brush like this. This is my BK 105, and just pick up a little bit, pounce it off on the back of my hand, and instant bronze. Isn't that pretty? Love. I'm going to take a clean 105 from BK and I'm going to go into my Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer. This is in the lightest shade, in shade number 1. This is another one of those. I feel like Charlotte does bronzers really well. There's only a few that I have that just don't work for me. This one tends to be just a little bit more overall bronze. Like, yeah. So here's the Mario. It's got a little bit more glow to it. And this one here is just a little bit heavier. If you want something that's featherweight, super light, you would like the Makeup by Mario. I really like this one here. This one hangs tight. It wears really well and it plays well with powders as well as liquids and creams. I feel like this one does better on days when I'm only using cream, blush, cream, highlight. I mean, if I want to be really careful and I can use this with other things, but I tend to like it best when I pair it with other cream or liquid products. The last cream product I'm going to throw on for you is from Glossier. This is their Cloud Paint and this is their bronzing formula. This right here is the shade Sail. I'm going to have so many brushes to wash after this. This is another one of those that I love if you happen to be fair and you want just the barest whisper of color. It is so lovely and so pretty. This is one where instead of adding it to my face, I put a little bit on the back of my hand and then I take my brush, distribute it to the bristles, and then kind of pounce it on. And for these sorts of formulas, liquids or creams, I really tend to prefer synthetic brushes. They don't disturb any of the foundation or anything I have on underneath. I even have this powdered. I forgot that I had this shade to show you and I was going to move on to like powder bronzers, but I love that this even goes well over the top of powder bronzers with the right type of brush. Here's another bronzer that is absolutely stunning for fair skin. It's from Victoria Beckham. This is just called the Bronzing Brick. It does have two shades. You could use this as a bronzer, but I like to just mix them together. The other one is supposed to kind of be like a contour. Whatevs. This is another one of those that is not too much. I like that this doesn't end up looking patchy. It doesn't grab in weird places. It goes on beautifully, wears really, really well. The bonus thing that I love about this, first of all, you can put something in here to pull the pan out. She's refillable. I like that you don't have to go and buy the whole component again, just the refill. The other thing that I like is this light powder here. Sometimes when I get a little heavy-handed, I can take a small brush like this, pick up some of just this shade, and go right where my bronzer meets my concealer, because sometimes with this lighter shade, I feel like my under eyes are too highlighted and it looks like I have reverse raccoon eyes, where it's really white right here or right here. And this kind of helps to bridge that gap a little bit. This is a trick that I learned from somebody else. Khaki Reviews Beauty does this, and I'll tell you, I don't know how many times I'm like, oh, too much. I look like I have reverse raccoon eyes. So I'll just grab a little bit of this, fixes my problem. So this is kind of like a 2-in-1. It's a great bronzer, and it's also really great for helping just those few little places. I also like that this shade is so light that if you want it to look like you're not wearing bronzer, but you want just a little color to your face, this will do it. Here's one that's really interesting. This is from Jones Road. This is the lightest shade, but it almost reads like a blush. This is called the bronzer, and the shade is Dusty Rose. So it looks quite rosy in the pan, but it does give a beautiful kind of bronzy look without being too warm. If you are always struggling to find something that doesn't pull warm on you, you might really like this. Here's another bronzer that I absolutely adore. This is the Eclat Soleil from Gucci. This is the lightest shade in 01. This is another bronzer that I know tends to lean just a little bit on the rosy side. Even though this has kind of a rosy tone to it, it is definitely more neutral compared to this right here. This sometimes reads like a blush. Now, if I were to apply it the way I would apply a blush, I'd have it a little bit darker, a little bit more concentrated, like right in through here. But as a wash over the skin, it does bring life, it does bring dimension, but it is definitely on the pinker side of things. This has a kind of medium with a little touch of rose to it. It is very, very pretty. For the longest time, this was the rosiest toned bronzer that I had. And when I got this, it completely changed my opinion of what a rosy bronzer was. I think they're both beautiful and they both work really well on my fair skin. This is my favorite affordable bronzer. This is the L'Oreal Infallible. I have the lightest shade. This is shade 200 Fair. This is one of those products that even though it is affordable, I always feel like it performs like a high-end product. It feels like a Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. It feels like the one from Pat McGrath. Just lovely. Blends beautifully. The formulation of this powder is stunning. There is a mirror in the compact, but there is no applicator. So you do need to have a brush if you're gonna make this work. I think it's funny that some of the other brands, I know that Gucci does, but not many others, you know, come with like a brush in the compact or an applicator. I'm never gonna use that because that's gonna be like a joke, but I feel like this looks really pretty. I tend to like to use natural hair brushes with my powder bronzers and synthetic bristles with my cream and liquids, but this is really pretty and very affordable. On the other side, I'm pulling out the Pat McGrath. Now here's where it gets interesting. This is not the lightest shade that Pat makes. This is the shade Nude Honey. I know that there are a shade or two lighter than this, but this is the one that looked like it would be the best for me without being too much. When I first got this last year, oh, I could not stop wearing it. Such a beautiful formula. It really does to me wear similar to the powder blushes. I have two of the single shade powder blushes. I know she has the duos, but these are just the ones that are just one color in the pan. And it wears beautiful, wears all day long. It's very pretty. It doesn't end up looking powdery, but this is the shade Nude Honey. It's a little bit darker, but not too warm. And what I was looking for was something that was not too warm. So I would go a level darker to get something like Nude Honey. This bronzer from RMS has become one of my absolute favorites. This is the Redimension Hydra Bronzer. I have the lightest shade in Beach Walk Betty. As you can see on the brush, it does have a little bit of a rosy hue to it. Oh, but isn't she lovely? This is one of my favorites. This is one that I haven't really had that long. I picked it up this spring and I've already lost the imprint in the pan, especially in that center square where it used to say RMS. Now it's just like, I'm glad there's still a square there, but pretty soon there won't even be that. This is a beautiful powder. If you haven't tried the RMS Redimension powders, the highlight, the blush, the bronzers are beautiful, as is their new loose powder. It's their Hydra powder. Oh my goodness. So beautiful, so beautiful. On the other side, I'm going to throw on the new one from Lancome. This is the Idole CE Transforming Bronzer. This is the lightest shade in 01 Fair. This has vitamin C in it as well as other hydrating properties. It's interesting that, you know, powder products are not coming with skincare in them. I don't know the science behind it, but I don't know how much skincare we're actually getting out of it or whether it's just kind of like buzzwords. But for me, what I love about this is that it's not orange. It's a really beautiful neutral, but just barely there. And you see, I can just keep piling it on. I feel like I don't have to be careful. It doesn't get patchy. I feel like I can just keep applying more and more all day and it never gets out of hand. Oh, isn't she stunning? Absolutely love this. This is one of the ones that made me put Little Miss Beach Walk Betty from RMS down to rest for a little bit. That was like all spring and early summer. And then once this one and the one that I'm going to wear today came in, I was like, okay, let's keep going. I don't know what has really piqued my interest with bronzers, but I've gotten 6 or 7 new bronzers in the last 6 months. Obviously not going to be able to finish them all, but I feel like I've been doing really good getting ones that work really well for me. And this new one from Lancome, oh my, is she absolutely stunning. The last bronzer I have for you is the one I'm going to wear today. This is from YSL. This is the All Hours Hyper Bronzer. This is also in the shade 01, the lightest shade. By the way, I'm in love with my big giant 22 brush from Rougher for bronzer. This one is just so pretty. Like the one from Lancome, I feel like this is one that, you know, I can load up on my brush and never ends up looking like too much. That is something to me that I really need. And I feel like the minute that products perform that way on my fair skin is when I know I can really trust it. And if I'm in a rush, because there have been times, I'm sure we've all done this, you're in a rush, you know, throw your makeup on as quickly as you can, you go jump in the car, and right before you go into whatever appointment or activity you had planned, you pull down what I like to call the mirror of truth. The one in the visor, you know that one, and you open it up and all of a sudden, and sometimes it's too much blush, sometimes your eyebrows are too much, or you missed something. There's nothing like natural light and that visor mirror to really tell you the truth. What I like about this powder and this powder is I can never really go too far with it. When I pull down that mirror of truth, it's like, yep, it's exactly what you expected. It's what you thought you had going on as you were leaving. Man, I really love this. And I think that having a really large, fluffy brush, especially a natural hair brush like this, just works so well. I'm just going to take whatever's left on the brush and just kind of go down the neck a little bit here so I don't look too pale, although I am. This is what the All Hours bronzer looks like on. It's absolutely stunning. I'm going to finish the rest of my face and I'll be right back. Here are the swatches. This is M Cosmetics Summer Terra. This is the Skin Enhancer from Makeup by Mario. This is the Cream Bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury in 01. This is also in the shade Light Fair. Here is Sail from Glossier. This is the 01 Bronzing Brick from Victoria Beckham. This is Dusty Rose from Jones Road. This is the Gucci Bronzer in 01. This right here is 200 from L'Oreal, their Infallible line. This is Pat McGrath Nude Honey. And on the back of my hand, this is the RMS and Beach Walk Betty. This is the shade 01 from Lancome, and here is the All Hours Hyper Bronze in 01. So lots of different shades. And I feel like having these really allows me to get a very different look. Some of them, like the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, that one tends to be creamy and doesn't set down. If I want a little bit of glow, but I don't want it to look too heavy or highlighty, I'll reach for the RMS one because there is a little bit of shimmer to that, but it's not a highlight. It just looks like natural skin. It doesn't look like a flat matte powder. That's what I like about it. There are so many beautiful options out there. You don't have to worry about choosing something that is too dark or too orange. There are a ton of options. These are just my favorites. It's certainly not an exhaustive look at my bronzer collection, but I think if you're looking for something for fair to light skin that's not going to be too much, you've got some great options here. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know what your favorite bronzer is. You don't have to be fair, just tell me what it is, who makes it, and what shade it is. Or if you are not a bronzer person, what do you use instead? Do you sculpt with blush? Do you skip it all together? Or if you only wear bronzer, I want to know. Thank you so much for watching today. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.